Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Danganronpa. So what pretty much has happened here is we've been given evidence that Kyoko and Yashihiro were in the school previously and actually attended classes, which we've already seen evidence of that. And so that either goes one way and incriminates Kyoko and Yashihiro being not one but two different Ultimate Despair students, or it just reveals that everybody went to the school and then their clones or their minds have been wiped or something like that. At least those are the running theories that I've had for a long time now. There could be any level of something that I simply just didn't think of. I am mostly clicking on things at this point, just looking for Monokuma tokens, and we're gonna go to the data center and the headmaster's room, and I kind of want to intentionally just avoid that as we warm up here, because we have been finding small numbers of Monokuma tokens, although in all fairness, I'm not sure that we're going to have quite enough, if we're not lucky, to get all the presents. Particularly if there's no New Game Plus. Like, that kind of ruins the idea. And kind of inherently what this implies is that the only way to really have gotten all the presents is to have played the game twice. One where you collected 999 Monokuma tokens, then spent them all, and then you would have to play the game twice to actually use presents to give to people, unless there is just some free play thing that unlocks. We haven't had any free play thing happen at all for this chapter, and we're supposed to be finding the big secret out as far as every mystery in the school, which I don't know if that's 5 mysteries or if that's a lot more mysteries. We are hitting particularly Monokuma tokens in places where there are things that we interacted with before. This whole building layout is still a mess. I kind of want to go to the headmaster's office first, actually, because it helped us to go to the headmaster's room to get the emergency extra handbook that unlocked the lockers. There's kind of a weird balance between like locks in offices and schools, in that the employer slash teachers don't really want the students or the employees to put a lock on the locker that's so strong that it couldn't be broken by a locksmith. The good news is, I suppose in that case, there aren't any real locks that are worth that you would want to spend the money on, that are unpickable or unbreakable. But more often than you would imagine, you do have cases where students lose their keys and they need their lockers picked open or cut open, usually just dead bolted. And in offices, many times, employees will straight up just cut the locks on lockers after they fired people, or they've lost the keys, which really highlights the security theater of the whole thing, is that the locks really are only there to stop the criminals of convenience, people who happen to see the locker or a lock is unlocked, and people who aren't dedicated, because any true dedicated thief would have a bolt cutter or a Dremel to cut through to a bolt, or if they're particularly good, they very easily will have just a shim or a lockpick set. But then again, there often is nothing actually that secure, that valuable in lockers. I wouldn't be surprised if some schools in Japan, in really small towns, don't even have locks on their lockers, because it's just that small town mentality of everybody's safe and nobody would bother to steal. And then you also have places like in the Middle East where they literally will cut off your hand if you steal something, so nobody is going to risk that to steal some small item. Anyways, let's get to the game. Yeah, there's really not a lot of recap going on here. This is the Headmaster's room, which is weird because I thought Yoko said in the Headmaster's room that it had been disheveled and somebody had been in there like pulling out all the paperwork out of drawers. Also, we've seen the dead body in the last episode. We saw the skeleton bones of the Headmaster and a picture from behind of the Headmaster, and he looked very much like a flat 2D anime character, which really confuses things when you have all these black and white photos of realistic looking people. If anything, also, it looks like they've used the same photo in the top left twice. So apparently a person was the Headmaster and then was replaced, and then, I don't know, his twin came back, or he came back. Like, it doesn't really make sense. This is the Headmaster's room. I've heard an awful lot about it, but this will be my first time seeing it for myself. Ah, Makoto, it's you. Oh, Byakuya. Alright, so there is paperwork on the floor. So yeah, there's something here with the photos that's weird. That there would be two of the exact same person. And then we have pretty much just copies of the things in the gym. And then it kind of looks more like a president's office than a Headmaster's room. A school. But I guess Hope's Peak being a very rich school, it might make sense. Then we have just down lights, whereas we haven't really seen lighting installed in the ceiling of any other place. It's just been kind of assumed. Alright. Even in the Headmaster's room, there's a monitor. That's weird, because I would have assumed that the monitors were added later, because they say they were made by Monokuma. But for all we know, Monokuma may have been an AI made by Hope's Peak and a robot that then was reprogrammed to go crazy or is being controlled by someone else. Like, it could very well be that the ultimate despair, however many people that may be, is just using stolen technology. Let's look at the awards. There are trophies and even a shield in the display case. Let's see. There are documents scattered all over the floor. Somehow it made me feel anxious. Alright. Then the camera. Even in the Headmaster's room, there's a surveillance camera. Honestly, nowadays it's proven to be slightly better to have surveillance cameras in people's offices than not. I think particularly, since this is being recorded during a pandemic, I think what we're gonna start to see is a whole new generation of embracing cameras in schools and offices and such, not only for security, but also for just doing lectures and video calls. And so I think we probably will see a lot of what they call PTZ, for pan, tilt, and zoom cameras being installed, and there being a system in which you can use it to stream online or connect to Zoom, and then there also being an instance of it sending a copy of the video to a security facility for security reasons, using the equipment for two different purposes. Of course, there are many instances where you wouldn't want to be able to allow somebody in a room to turn off the camera completely or even zoom it in a direction like looking against a wall so that they might commit a murder or crime in this instance. So there would have to be a whole new way in which they're programmed, in which you could override controls and have a security officer, someone higher ranked, override the zoom. Alright, well, let's see. We have a whole bunch of books here. I'm rambling today, I can already tell. Bookshelf seems really well made. It's filled with files and thick books. I'll probably interest Byakuya.
Come on.
Hey Makoto,
Not possible.
are you ignoring me? You think I'll forgive it just because you're you?
Ignorance.
When we get out of here, remember this moment. Oh, so we have to talk to him first. Yeah, the game has really put you on rails now. Well, you came to the right place. Would you like to hear something interesting? Gotta react, yes. What do you mean, something interesting? Let's see. There's a big difference there between the music playing and then all of a sudden it going quiet. Take a look at this. It says, on top of that pathetically ostentatious desk, barely pronounced that word right. It was on top of that desk. Class 78, which, again, that implies that they've had about 6 or 7 headmasters in 6 or 7 decades, which seems like too many, frankly, for a Japanese school. You would expect the headmaster to have been the headmaster for at least a good 15, 20 years. Class 78 student registry. Now there was a whole bunch of books that were stolen and we never did find where they went, so and we didn't see them in the garbage chute, so they must have been incinerated. It contains profiles for all of us and Mukuro. So apparently this is class 78. Now they call it class, but maybe this is clone batch 78, or this is maybe the 78th time they've had their minds erased and done it. But honestly, if it had been 78 times, then that means each one of these cycles of playing the death game seems to really only take a few weeks, and that does seem accurate. 70, it couldn't be a year, 1 class per year, otherwise each of these people would be 78 years old unless they're clones, and then maybe it has been 78 years since some horrific apocalyptic tragedy occurred, and every year they are bringing about a new batch of clones that happen to be teenaged.
So in other words,
apparently class number 78 refers to us. Wait, when we found Mukuro's profile in Kyoko's room.
I see.
That's right, it also mentioned class number 78. So clearly, this is from a similar book, but not the same, because why would there be 2 pages with a profile of Mukuro Ikusaba? This must be where Kyoko got that page. And since the rest of the profiles are listed here along with hers,
In other words,
there can be no doubt. Mukuro is a student here at Hope Peak Academy, just like the rest of us. Mukuro Ikusaba, the 16th student. That must have been how Kyoko learned about it. But it seems that Kyoko was in a hurry. See, now, I feel like if Mukuro Ikusaba was going to be this mystery 16th student from the beginning of the game, even though they teased it somewhere around the 3rd or 4th chapter, that they probably should have teased the idea or the general concept at the beginning in the 1st chapter. Huh? What do you mean? I'm talking about when she stole it. The uneven tearing, the way the paper had been crumpled. This must have been done in a hurry. Well, since she snuck in to get it, I'm sure she wanted to get out as fast as possible. But what's your point? She was in so much of a hurry that she only got the first page. The first page? Ah, okay. Correct. Mukuro's profile actually contains 2 pages. What?
So, in other words,
Well, maybe this is also intentional, and Kyoko really is the despair, ultimate despair, and she intentionally only got the first page. When it comes to this profile, there's more information about Mukuro that we still don't have. Gotta react. What kind of information is it? Why do you ask me to explain every little thing? You can read, can't you? It seems like there's some sort of detailed report put together by the headmaster himself.
interesting.
I don't know what kind of man he was, but I'm glad he left us such an interesting clue. I was half listening to Byakuya as I skimmed through the report. There's this French cartoon called Code Lyoko, and this character looks very similar to one of the female protagonists, although that character I think had pink hair. But there is something to be said. We see either black or blue hair in this picture, and this kind of standard chin to a point, small nose, small mouth, big eyes animation style that they're doing all the other females as. But you can see her hair is short and blue, and the body that was burnt did not have blue or black hair for sure. It was more blonde, brown. But I guess there is also no reason to believe that somebody couldn't dye their hair. This isn't a real Japanese school where they would have made all the students dye their hair black, even if it wasn't naturally black, which is a real thing that sadly sometimes happens in Japan. Mukuro reappeared suddenly, and in the background an entity floats, just close but just out of reach. I don't know what that means. She really doesn't look like she would be the ultimate warrior, but I guess maybe the ultimate warrior wouldn't look like the ultimate warrior or the ultimate soldier. The entity known as the ultimate despair. Right now, I can't be sure if it's a single person or some kind of group. So was the ultimate despair perhaps chasing after Mukuro? It would be weird if it turned out that Mukuro is the mastermind to actually trap the ultimate despair, and she's just trying to survive because she's being chased down, and she's using the murder games in some way as to potentially find out who the ultimate despair people are. That would be extremely contrived, but it's not beyond something I would think an ultimate soldier could do to trick and trap their prey. Whatever it is, Mukuro definitely has some sort of connection to it. I have a bad feeling about all this. I need to push forward with my research into the ultimate despair. And I need to pay attention to Mukuro's behavior too. This is just my gut feeling, but I think she's dangerous. Despite the countless battles she must have gone through as a member of Fenrir, when she entered Hope's Peak, she didn't display any signs of wounds or scars. So, once again, this is pointing to the idea that that the body really is the fashionista's body, who was stabbed with the spears by Monokuma at the very beginning of the game, and that's why that body was covered in wounds that were several days old, compared to it being Mukuro, who seems to have not had any battle wounds or scars at all. This also potentially eliminates a possibility that Kyoko is actually Mukuro and somebody simply lied about what their name was at the very beginning of the game, because that's literally the only evidence we've ever seen is to prove who was who, is that whoever said their name. What's weird too is to the left there is Aoi Asahina's profile, and we don't see a picture of her, so Aoi could be lying about who she is, or she could also be the mastermind. Anybody could be the mastermind, frankly. They keep implying it's one of the students, but the problem with that is if one of these people are the mastermind, the next game, either that person isn't going to be around in that next game, or we're going to go into like an alternate reality where somebody else is the mastermind. There are definitely some characters that I wouldn't mind if they left the game and never showed up again. Like Sakura's character design, for instance, is kind of ridiculous. And if I was going to make a sequel to this game, I would say, hey, let's redraw Sakura and make her less ridiculous looking. And we can explain it away in story somehow. That fact alone proves that her tremendous skill in battle. Man, can't even read the sentence. Naturally, I want to believe in her. She's one of my students after all. But if I decide she's a danger to the other students, I will be forced to take all reasonable measures. Mukuro was part of the ultimate despair. I don't think there can be any doubt about it now. But wouldn't that mean Mukuro and the mastermind were allies? So why? Why would they kill Mukuro? Plus, even the headmaster seemed to be afraid of what Mukuro was capable of. They would have had to take her completely by surprise to kill her like that. Or maybe it means the mastermind is even stronger than Mukuro was.
What?
What's wrong, Makoto? Huh?
That's fine.
You seem to be lost in thought, but I should probably point out one other thing. There's another important bit of information with the file that you should note. What is it? Did you notice the picture in there? A picture of a girl perhaps you've never seen before? It seems a girl who seems to be included as part of our class, number 78. Yeah. Blue or black hair. That should be enough for you to figure out who the girl is. And further information about that girl is included in the file. 5 foot 7 inches, 97 pounds, really light. And it even lists her vitals as 31, 22, 32, which vitals being localized away from a shoulder size, chest size, and waist size. But that wouldn't be right either. No, it must be chest size, waist size, and hip size. Yeah. So even that makes her fairly thin-waisted while having wide hips and wide. Let's compare some of these settings to other people. Yeah. Everybody else just has a chest size, but we can look at the weight. And Makoto is a 115. 31 would be about the same chest size as Taka, which is not much for a girl, but it's kind of believable. Let's see, is there anyone who's lighter? Could it be that if I'm reading these stats right, the only other thing I could think if you give 3 numbers and have vitals would be like your systolic, diastolic, and beats per minute, which is blood pressure. There's a high blood pressure, which I think is systolic, and then there's diastolic, which is the low blood pressure, and then there's the heartbeats per minute. You can see here that Sayaka was like 33, so chest size at 31 is not that off, and she was 108 as a character. Some of these sizes also definitely don't match the way the characters are drawn. They probably should have decided to do some reference images with each of the characters standing facing to the side. And then even the large busted Aoi is 35 and she's 110. Choko is 104. Of course, Sakura was 218 with a very large chest of 51 inches. They just throwing out numbers there. None of these stats match with any of the other characters except for her. So, once again, the fashionista's body seems to be the body that was used. Unless there never was a Junko, and that was always... No, there had to have been a Junko. But yeah, 97 pounds, 31 inches. You could have used Chihiro's body, but then Chihiro would have been a male. So that also gets into a problem. We didn't look at height. 5 foot 7 inches. Let's see if see how that height would have matched with her. 5 foot 7 inches exactly. There's no way the height is that way. There is also a whole point here to also mention that since she was the ultimate fashionista, her measurements would have been very well known to people in the world. So it would have been very easy to find someone who was the exact same size as the ultimate soldier, if that was your goal, or at least somewhat easy. Could also be that they're twins, but even then the chest size and weight size probably would vary somewhat. Well, what do you think? What do I think? Are you asking me like if she had has a nice body? You hopeless idiot. What I'm trying to tell you is maybe you want to keep that in mind for later. Maybe you'll make your way back to the corpse, and maybe you'll think, oh, could that mean... Wait, is he trying to say there's a chance the body isn't actually Mukuru? Yeah, see, clearly brown hair, not black or blue hair, even though it's burnt. And if it is the exact same height and build as the fashionista's body, then I think we're pretty much guaranteed it's the fashionista's body on top of the fingernails. How did you get the tattoo of Fenrir on the back of the hand? Well, you almost have to assume that Mukuro stole the body of the fashionista right after she died, so Monokuma couldn't take the body, and Monokuma just never mentioned it. Or maybe Mukuro has been stealing all the bodies, but she couldn't have been undoing the damage also. I assume that's the case. Yeah, but if she stole the body, she would have had probably enough time to get ink from like the chem lab or the physics lab and get a needle from the nurse's lab and tattoo someone. Although to accurately and tattoo someone well is certainly asking a lot. Personally, what I'm thinking seems all but impossible, but it wouldn't hurt to confirm, right?
It's all clear now.
That's all I was trying to say. What you do with that information is your business. So I'm back to being Byakuya's errand boy. So we're getting more truth bullets. Oh, and one last thing. A bit of advice from me to you. So I suggest you pay attention. Now, this is supposed to be the final trial, but they still are all gonna die unless they succeed. So Byakuya being less than completely helpful is still kind of ridiculous. And I suppose the fact that there are flags with the Hope's Peak logo that has the Monokuma eye over it in the background does imply that Monokuma may have existed well before this school was taken over. Advice for me, you seem to be getting along with Kyoko quite well. It's not that we're getting along, she's just done a lot to help me. Well, don't put too much faith in her, huh?
In other words,
The cost of faith might be more than you can afford. What are you saying? Just what I think. Call it a hunch. A hunch. But my hunches tend to be proven right. The advice is free this time. Take it or don't, as you will. I'll keep it in mind. Thanks. ... Alright, so now, is there a reason to specifically click on this? I guess it's just so you can go through it again. Otherwise the game has forced you to see it. This one picture has been either colorized, which is also kind of weird. And then this picture, I think, is being reused. Honestly, it would have made more sense to not reuse images and just have only 3 or 4 former school teachers. I would assume that if the implication is that the school has been running for 78 years, that would probably be somewhere after World War II. Anyways, that's hardly a school that's been running for like 300 or 400 years. Which I imagine there are places in Japan like that.
Hey, Makoto.
Makoto, are you here to look around too? The only thing that was weird there is we didn't see any evidence so far that implicated Byakuya. Is that what you're doing here? Yeah, I can't help but wonder about that Monokuma door.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm stumbling over words so much. And I just kind of woke up too, so it's not like I'm sleepy because I just woke up, but I'm fairly fresh for today. So I figured if all the doors in the school had been unlocked, that one should be open too, right? Although I couldn't bring myself to open it because it might explode, right? And that'd really suck. So you open it, sure. She didn't, I'm sure she didn't mean it, but she made it sound like she's okay with me getting blown up. Alright, well. We'll start with the Monokuma tokens. Didn't realize that was going to zoom in. I'm just skipping through all of this. See, and this kind of highlights the problem in general with a lot of visual novels as a Westerner playing visual novels, in that by the time you are at the end of the game and you're 60 to 80 hours into a story, you're probably a little less than interested and a little bit bored. And I'm not sure I could ever really develop a system where I start fast and skip text at the very beginning of a game, because that's the point where you actually need to get involved in the game, and there's a high risk of just getting bored with a visual novel at the beginning if you skip text. I really feel like visual novels just need a whole rethink, and a lot of stuff needs to be left on the cutting room floor, and they need to be abridged, as it were, for Westerners. And in particular for people like me who, like, I don't read long-running novels anyways, so anything repeated I find fairly annoying, because I either mostly remember or completely remember everything that's said to me if it's of importance, and if it isn't, then it didn't need to be repeated in the first place. Let's go ahead and talk to Aoi. Thanks, Makoto. She probably didn't mean it like that. Alright, so she doesn't even have anything to say. There's a chance she's the mastermind. Okay, so I'll guess I'll open it. Oh wait, let me take cover first. I don't want to get exploded. Hina raced over to her desk and hid underneath it. Okay, go ahead. ... Everything will be okay, right? Alright, here goes nothing. I threw all my weight into it, but the door opened much easier than I expected. I was expecting maybe some other Monokuma dolls hanging around here. I wasn't expecting an entire room dedicated to controlling it. I was thinking maybe closer to a pod. This probably doesn't really tell us anything now. There's no explosion, thankfully. My first impression was, whoa, this place is totally sci-fi. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. What this does establish is kind of the level of sci-fi technology that they want to implement here. This isn't a brain-controlled chip that could have been in the mastermind, and they could have been standing in the same room controlling Monokuma, and people wouldn't even know if that was the case. This isn't nanobots or liquid metal from like Terminator. This looks like fairly normal computers, and a lot of them connecting to something. And if the technology to control it is this big, it's kind of surprising that the Monokuma robot itself is that small. We've also seen that when it was dismantled, it looked like it was just being run by standard copper wires, and the bomb looked like a bomb, not nano machines or anything super advanced, which doesn't give you any hints that this might be distant future, but you know, it might not matter even if it is a distant future, because if you've had an apocalypse and then 78 years of apocalypse happened, then new technology wouldn't have been developed anyways. Technology is not self-sustaining or self-evolving. Somebody has to be able to research and develop technology, and if the world's falling apart, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. And they're gonna make this, I think, fairly easy on us. While there's a lot of animation here, and it looks like there's basically Monokuma tables and Monokuma screensavers. Seems like there's simply just a hatch and a chair to click on, and that's it. And Monokuma roof, that maybe that opens to something. And Monokuma on the floor. There's some kind of hatch on the floor, but right now I'm more concerned about that weird device. Interesting. So once again, very linear. And I like to play things backwards and look at the unimportant things first, because often you can't look at the unimportant things afterwards. What is this device? Looks like some kind of control panel. It's really over the top though, like some kind of military installation or something. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Mukuro was either forced to or chose to control Monokuma a lot of the time. But then if it was a military thing, why is it controlling a stuffed bear? That's the weird part. It's like, wouldn't it just be a robot? Like a Terminator or something? An exoskeleton type Terminator robot? Yeah, it kind of looks like a mech cockpit, right? Hifumi probably freak out if he saw it. Yeah, I'd pretty much forgotten about Hifumi cockpit. So the Monokuma room has a control panel that looks like some kind of cockpit. That could mean... Alright, let's start poking at it or whatever. I'm gonna start pushing buttons. Hold on, you can't just or whatever something like this. But it was too late. Hina was already jabbing away at the control panel. Huh? Did you hear that? Yeah, it came from the other room. Hina, what'd you push? I'm not totally sure, but I think it was that one. It says, the button that says Data Center. Data Center. I took a good look at the control panel, and I saw a bunch of buttons, each with the name of a room next to it. And just like Hina said, this one was labeled Data Center. This must be the one she pushed. You know what this might imply is that there was some kind of fight in here, and somebody was pushed to knocked over, and they accidentally pushed the gym, and that would explain why there was a dead Monokuma or an inactive Monokuma in the gym. But the data center, that's right next door, the room we were just in. That's where the strange noise came from. Probably should go better check it out. Yes, please. I'm kind of scared out of my mind right now, so I'll cheer you on from over here. Alright, so still can't investigate that. And can't really do anything there. So what this implies more than anything is that there are very specific spots where Monokuma will appear in each room as kind of like trap doors, instead of him just magically coming through the floor. Did I hear what I think I heard? Dot dot dot. Is that Monokuma? Dot dot dot. And I guess they want me to click and talk to Monokuma, but the circle is way up there where Aoi was standing. They've put her in the exact same spot, which maybe that is supposed to be like foreshadowing, or maybe it's just laziness and they have very specific places where each character is. I think it's probably laziness. Hey. Grar. Grr. Give me all your donuts. Dot dot dot. Is that you, Hina? What? Oh man, busted. How did you know? Anyway, what is this? Some kind of remote controlled camera setup? You don't even know what you're controlling? Well, I mean, I can't really see anything from in here. Guess what I found? A self-destruct button. Whatever you do, don't push it. Oh man. Were you seriously gonna push it? What's funny here is how much Monokuma is emoting. So either this is showing that he really knows how to control Monokuma, or Monokuma emotes naturally, very easily. Anyway, I guess that settles it. The room with the Monokuma drawing on it, the control panel inside. Alright, so somebody was in here, but they could have escaped by the panel. Whoa, hey Makoto, what the heck was that just now? Monokuma? Oh, what do you mean? What, you were controlling it just now, it was Monokuma. Oh, so she didn't know what she was controlling even. Monokuma? What, for real? Yep, it looks like the panel definitely controls Monokuma. Which means the mastermind has been controlling Monokuma from this room. Yeah, they were definitely in here. The mastermind has been controlling Monokuma from this room. And this control room is totally separate from the data center area with all the monitors. Which maybe means that they intentionally built it so that you couldn't see what was going on. So Mukuru may have been forced to control Monokuma, but the mastermind may have been monitoring everyone else. But there is no camera in the Monokuma room. Interesting. In other words, maybe the mastermind can't monitor us and control Monokuma at the same time. Oh yeah, that was something. Kyoko's theory was right. But if the mastermind's been controlling Monokuma from here, you would think that you would be able to look out of the eyes of Monokuma, and maybe you can, but that you can't monitor from the outside cameras, so you wouldn't know that you are in a Monokuma and not just controlling some other kind of robot. That means they've been inside the school the whole time, right? I guess that would have to be true. But if that is true, and we're back to this flashback, this is probably the 4th or 5th time we've seen it, and we're probably going to see it 3 more times. It's a very polarizing approach, I know, but okay, enough puns. Anyway, here's a hint. They should have made that previous sentence more brief if they were going to repeat it so often. I'm sure I already told you this, but this killing game began when 16 participants, all of them high school students, and the only people to take a single step in Hope Speak since the killing game began are those 16 students. Then the mastermind, Monokuma's puppeteer, really is the 16 students. ... No, it can't be. There's no way, right? What's wrong, Makoto? I don't like that face you're making. Oh no, it's nothing. Oh, okay. ... What about you? Is everything okay? Oh well, it's just... This is where the mastermind's been hiding, right? Who knows if they set traps or something. I can't say it isn't possible, but I really hope it's not true. So like, you want to leave soon? There's still a lot of other places to check out. Yeah, good point. We can't waste all of our time standing around here. Okay, you want to get going? Yeah. Well, I still want to check this hatch. What's wrong, Makoto? Hurry up, let's get over. So, like, they literally are just not going to let you check the hatch. Alright, so we leave. the area. Click. As soon as the door to the data center was closed, I heard a strange sound. What was that? The door just locked on its own. What? My hand shot out to grab the doorknob. Rattle, rattle. You're right, it's locked, but why? So, like, the mastermind literally let themselves be exposed to the data center, and they were hiding in that hatch the whole time, and we could have caught them if it weren't for the game just not letting me catch them. And I don't know why they would have let them in the data center anyways. It would have been perfectly easy to say all the doors are unlocked except for the Monokuma door. I'll save that. That'll be a mystery for another day or something like that. Yeah. Of course it's locked because the data center is now restricted. Monokuma? Ain't no fair. You can't just go around restricting whatever you feel like. It's for your benefit. Because if the room stays open, I won't be able to move around. Imagine how depressed everyone would get if the school mascot just upped and stopped moving. Then that room. As you may have guessed, that's where my controls are. So right now you're being operated by someone in that room. Correctamundo. But that doesn't make any sense. We were just in there. We didn't see anyone. Oh, you didn't, did you? Phew. Are you sure you were as thorough as you could have been? Did you happen to check a certain suspicious hatch? No way. The hatch on the floor? Phew, too bad. That was your one big chance and you blew it.
Too bad.
Of course, that hatch can't be opened from the outside anyway, so whatever. Now then, this room is officially restricted, so no more investigating. I'll be relying on you guys to tell the others. Peace. He's gone, but... Was he telling the truth? The mastermind was hiding in there? In fact, if you think back when we got locked out of the control room, that proves it for sure.
Huh?
Then when I said we should leave. Now what's funny is if there are two masterminds, Aoi still could be working for the mastermind or be a mastermind, and the other person could be Mukuro. But I don't know. If I believe that, it would be very, very hard to believe that this was Kyoko or Yashahiro that are controlling Monokuma right now. It's kind of impossible to believe it's any of them because every one of the original 15 students was in the room when Monokuma was talking and moving. So unless multiple people were controlling Monokuma, it does seem like Mukuro has to be the one controlling Monokuma. But maybe not the only mastermind. Well, the hatch couldn't be opened from the outside anyway, right? So it's not your fault. Okay. Anyway, we don't have to let it get to us. We have to stay positive and make the most of the time we have left. You're right. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's keeping my body moving. Okay, I'm gonna go run around and tell everyone what we found here. Nice. You've got me all motivated again.
You got it.
Okay, I'm out of here. See you later. Hina took off in full sprint, and I have to do what I can too. The only way is forward. Hina is definitely a kind of pointless character in this. She oddly is the eye candy character of the group, and if they were going to do that, you'd almost assume that they would have drawn her to have slightly more popular appeal, but maybe to the Japanese audience of visual novel fans, that is a popular appeal way to design a character compared to like the fashionista. Alright, so we're now on the 5th floor, and seemingly there is no more floors. And we'll just search on everything to see if we can find a few bits of Monokuma tokens. And then what we'll do is go to the biolab, then the dojo, then the garden. we never really saw anything on the boards that seems to really make a lot of sense. Other than the board has a picture of Makoto on it. And this says despair. This board in particular kind of wraps up what happened in chapter 5, where Monokuma tried to punish Makoto, and this must be Kyoko saying gross. And then this is the room with the murder in it, so it'd be funny if this was cleaned up or if there's something new to find here. Let's see. So you have the camera, and then you have the blood stain that's dried. Then you have the body chalk outline. See, what I think is funny is that this very possibly is not the tragedy. If anything, I think this may just have been a side effect of the tragedy. So no Monokuma tokens in there, and nothing new to see there. And then here we have something that says raw. So this is the first time we've been in the biolab. Well, here I am in the biolab. It's so cold. It's like abnormally cold. I feel like I'm in a giant refrigerator. Seriously, why is it so cold? Alright, well, then we see how many, exactly 16 drawers here. And in each of these we have 5 people that are lit up, 5 drawers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there's 7 that are not lit up, which to me makes it feel like this is kind of like a morgue and this is where the dead bodies are. But if that's the case, we need to do a quick count here. Is Makoto still alive? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be Mukuro. So either they've taken the dead body of Junko and put her back into these freezers, and each lit up one is a dead body, or there's a miscount here for as far as who's alive and who's dead. Now we assume that these are just morgue freezers. These could be cloning vats, and it could be that as soon as someone dies they get cloned and they start growing and aging the body again for the next iteration of this. Although it does seem like they're not giving us any real evidence to imply that that is what's going on. So that pet theory, of which I've seen no evidence to, is weird. Icicles hanging from the monitor. I suppose it can work up here. These look like tarps, which I guess that's where the tarps came from. I've been seeing a lot of these things lately. Alright. So, if they are tarps, that means that somebody got in this room. There's some kind of weird machine or something built into them all. I've seen something like this before. Well, that's it. I've seen these kind of things in horror movies and stuff. It's a fridge for storing dead bodies. But does that mean the biolab is actually a morgue? ... I should probably take a closer look around. Like, why would a school need a morgue? That's ridiculous. And why does it say raw RAW on the door. There's some kind of wooden machines built in the wall. On the left side, there's a bunch of glowing blue lights, but only some of the lights are on. The one's on the left. The right ones, the lights are off. Let's check the table now. Interesting that there's nobody in this room. Oh, there's some kind of booklet here. Looks like an instruction manual. We offer an eco-friendly alternative to standard dry ice for your cadaver needs. In addition to germicidal lamps, we also provide an ozone generator for the removal of ethylene gas. Simply insert the cadaver and the blue light will let you know the automated systems have activated. Temperature and humidity levels will be adjusted automatically for optimal settings. With our system, anyone can keep a dead body fresh as a daisy for as long as you need. In the unlikely event of a problem, a red light will activate and the alarm will sound immediately. The exterior is stainless steel, and we do offer an optional leather upholstery upgrade package. Is this the instruction manual for the fridge? Well, looking around, I think I get it. It seems clear to me now. There's some kind of makeshift morgue. Biolab secret. And about those lights and the lights by each slot. It looks like it's been set up so when the slot is occupied, the blue light comes on, which means inside each slot up in blue is another one of the victims is... I can't let my emotions take control right now. There's only one thing I can do for everyone who's dead, and that's defeat the mastermind. And to do that, I have to continue with my investigation. We are hitting a point here where there's not really a lot of new stuff to see now. So if there was a free gameplay mode after this where you could just hang out with everybody and give them gifts to your heart's content, that could get very redundant and boring very quickly. But otherwise, I don't know how you're going to accomplish that either without going back and replaying chapters and giving gifts. Or doing a new game plus, and I see no reason why you'd want to do a new game plus unless the story completely changes and there are completely different murders in a new game plus, which even that doesn't sound particularly appealing, because I'd like to see, instead of a B story, which that's an old concept certainly, that was in a few games where there would be a just completely different experience after the credits. Maybe we should bring back that concept, considering how few people actually finish games. But yeah, instead of seeing a B story, I would much prefer to see Danganronpa 2 come out and them have improved the gameplay mechanics and improved the technology more. Alright, and to do that, I have to continue with my investigation. I don't have any other option. So did we scan everything? This is one of the few rooms that has an actual ceiling on it too. Let's just click on this just to make sure. And then there's also the weirdness in the fact that you have to hold down a button to run, otherwise you move incredibly slowly. They probably should have just by default had you run. Now we just have this room, so unless there's something different in this room or the garden, there's probably not that much more information. Toko. Oh, Toko. So this is where you were.
What do you want?
What do you want? Am I so disgusting you want me out of your sight? No, that's not it at all. I just thought maybe you found a clue. Well, I haven't. Didn't find anything. Not one single clue. I figured since this place was related to the case, it would have something, right? But there wasn't anything out of ordinary here. Give it back. Give me back my precious time. Calm down, Toko.
What's your problem?
Don't tell me to calm down. Do you have any idea what I'm going through right now? When everyone finds out, they're gonna call me useless, good for nothing. Nobody's gonna say that. Master will. I'm not sure I can disagree with that. I don't want that. I'm sick of always being looked down on. Why won't anyone accept me? Well, I don't think there are any clues here, so maybe I'm gonna get going. Yeah. So, are we just not gonna deal with Genocide Jill anymore in the story? Like, that's weird. That they wouldn't do something more with her. So it'd be kind of the perfect place for her to get pollen. I don't know if sakura trees are particularly high in pollen, but it'd probably be enough to make her sneeze. So we get one more Monokuma token. And see, the weird thing is, if there is only 999 in the entire game, which there very well may be, or even less than that, and you have to play the game multiple times, that does highlight an issue. I can totally imagine Sakura out here using this to train. Yeah, if anything, the dojo seems like it was specifically designed for Sakura. Which, I don't know where, like, Toko as the ultimate novelist would have been given a special room for own use, nor is there anybody who's specifically interested in gardening. Whereas Aoi has a specific room in the pool for swimming. Yeah, I guess if we were to look here, since he's not an ultimate of anything, any room would not be made for him. Since he's the ultimate moral compass, any schoolroom would be fine with him. The library is clearly the special room for him. There was nothing really for Mondo, though. Like, I don't think he'd want the gym. There was no baseball field in the gym or anything like that for Leon, but Leon wanted to be a musician, so the AV room would make sense. With the exception of the Makoto room, there really wasn't a room focused around like doujin and anime and things like that. There really wasn't a spiritual room for Yashihiro. There really wasn't anything other than the AV room for Sayaka. Or well, she could have been in the music room too. Kyoko, being the ultimate detective, didn't have a room specifically for her. Toko seems not to have anything. Celeste didn't really have a room specifically for her. Junko didn't really have a room specifically for her. And Chihiro didn't really have a room specifically for him. Which does point out a brief weirdness there, but it also kind of makes sense. Like, most of the rooms in the school are reasonable rooms for a school to have, whereas the dojo and the biolab and the garden are not really reasonable, and they're all on the 5th floor. Wow, so it seems like with the exception of the Monokuma token, there really was no bit of evidence here. Why is everything... Alright, so maybe we're supposed to come back to this area later. Which then that just leaves us with the garden. It'd be weird if the body was still here. But also you could say maybe the plant ate it. ... Huh? It's gone. Mukuro's body. Although if Monokuma had moved the body, why did he not clean up the scorch marks like he had done before? It's not here. Alright, well. Let's just start clicking on things. Sprinklers control panel. Sprinklers can't be changed. That's an interesting question about why there were monitors instead of just announcements. We never really got an explanation as to what happened to the rest of the chicken's body if it was killed for its blood. Unless it is that the plant ate it. I'm not skipping through this. one more Monokuma token. The weird thing here is that I don't know if anything's going to happen here, or if we're just going to search places, and then once we've searched all places, we're going to trigger the last trial. Maybe the body is inside the tool shed. I better check just to be sure. Didn't find anything else even close to a dead body. But if it's not here, then it must be. Could it be in the biolab? But corpses aren't the only thing I need to check in here. There's one other thing. That tarp. That tarp played a key role in another case, so I better look into it. So, yeah, once again, let's... There's the pickaxe that is a reference to Mondo. But... this really would have made more sense if it had been revealed that Mondo was into mining or gardening, but he wasn't ever around to even get enough of those. Didn't ever even get that much backstory. The killer used this tarp to keep the sprinklers from getting the body wet, which means the killer might have left some clue behind here. At this point, I guess I have stopped kind of reading some of the lines of dialogue, and maybe that is the pattern I should adopt, is that if I'm just going to click on something and it's just going to be one or two sentences, I should take a breath and not read it all out loud. There's no hard written rule that says for my content I have to read anything out loud. I could sit here in silence if I wanted to. I just feel like that wouldn't be particularly good quality content. There might be even a fair use argument that fails if you're not adding your own commentary to playing a game like this. So if we find any clue here, it's got to be hair. Huh? I didn't notice this before, but there's a small stamp in one corner of the tarp. It says biolab. What's interesting about the tarp to me is the idea that they kind of assume that somebody is dragging the bodies using a tarp, or moving the bodies using a tarp. When it seemed more like Monokuma was just magicking them away. Yeah. So, is this even a tarp, or is that a body bag? Then this originally came from the biology lab. Alright, well. Unless there's a reason to click on things twice. Which I don't think there is. I think what we're going to do is either leave this area. That's all I really need to check here. I even want to tell you that. I'm a little surprised that this didn't happen. Alright, so we still have tons of mysteries here, and they didn't do anything to implicate Toko or Byakuya or Aoi. So it does seem like the ultimate despair is Kyoko and Yashahiro. But we don't know that for certain, for sure. But it kind of feels like that has to be the case. It would also certainly explain why Yashahiro is older than everyone else, which seems just weird that Hope's Peak Academy, the best high school ever in Japan, would allow the ultimate clairvoyant to be a student, even though he'd been held back 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Yashihiro and Kyoko actually announced that they had already been through one of these killing games before, and that was all going to be explained in the sequel. That is exactly what happened in Virtue's Last Reward, the second Danganronpa game, which kind of pushes you immediately to play the third game, even though I have yet to do that.
Is everyone working hard? Is your investigation coming along nicely?
Yeah, it does. Since we've not found a ton of information, it it opens up the door to two endings. One that is just incredibly insane and you would have never seen it coming and there wasn't enough hints to even guess it, or another where it is going to be a fairly generic, unsatisfactory ending.
Well then, since you're all giving it your best, your generous headmaster will give you a little hint.
Is he gonna change the game?
For those of you who are interested, please make your way to the gym ASA possible.
What, now he wants to give us a hint? It's suspicious, there's no doubt about it. This could be a trap. But even knowing that, ... He said go to the gym, right? And so it just jumps you to the gym, so you don't get the opportunity to not do it. ... Hey, hero. Ah, Makoto. Why'd you act so surprised? Oh, no reason. Yeah, why would he be surprised? You heard Monokuma's announcement, right? Are you here to find out what he has to say? I just did, actually. I'm on my way out. You already talked to him? What'd he say? ... Listen, sorry, but I gotta go. So apparently, Monokuma is telling people maybe different things. It's got something to do with Makoto. Maybe he's just gonna lie. Hero, wait. There's no point in trying to stop him. He ran off like a frightened animal. I wouldn't be surprised if Monokuma just says Makoto is actually dead. And that the person we think is Makoto isn't actually Makoto. Like, hero. It was like he was trying to avoid me. I was hoping to talk to him about the notebook I found in the locker. Oh, I guess they also have to be very careful that you don't actually be able to ask him about that. Has he been hiding something this whole time? Again, we can look at this. And not really look at this. We've been throughout the entire school looking for Monokuma tokens. Every other announcement has been a group announcement. So now we've got just one picture. Interesting. It kind of looked like he had blood on the back of Makoto's hoodie.
I am Monokuma!
Hello, welcome. Hello, are you ready for your final hint? Well, it just so happens to be in the envelope on the ground in front of you. The envelope? Well, let's just try and click on everything else while we're here. Like, taking your eyes off Monokuma is probably a mistake. But guess we have no choice. Here we go. This must be the envelope. Phew, and just so you know, I won't be answering any questions about what you find inside. Almost certainly this is another photo. Maybe a group photo of all 16 of them. What? Don't worry. Just get on with it. I feel like Monokuma would disappear. I also feel like, particularly in the gym, Monokuma appeared in several different places and seems to be able to move on his own, so there doesn't seem to be much of a limitation, but it probably isn't really worth it to try and have Monokuma walk the halls of the school or drag a body through the halls. Monokuma's cryptic words didn't make me feel any better, but I picked up the envelope and opened it. What I found was a single photograph. It featured a bunch of faces I recognized extremely well. Okay, so yeah, we have every student in the same uniform for the first time, and for the most part at least, going to a school that seems not to be Hope's Peak, because this school has the metal desks and not the wooden desks we've seen everywhere. You can see back to the left, Celeste is still dressed like a gothic Lolita. fashion style. You can see Leon is wearing a white jacket and not wearing a school uniform, which makes him stand out. Where Mondo is wearing a school uniform, it's not properly buttoned up and he's not wearing a tie. Then we have Mukuro Ikisaba, just a member of the group, and her hair is black in this scene. So is Celeste's hair. And if actually you look, there is basically nobody with that wild of a hairstyle except for the fashionista character, whose face is being hidden by Taka, who is saluting probably with his wrong hand. You can also see that Hifumi has a camera in his hand and he's taking a picture, so he's maybe using a mirror to take a picture. Here you can see Sayaka sitting down up front. You can see Yashihiro. You can see Sakura is still Sakura. See, you couldn't really change how she looks that much in this story. It's confusing, to say the least, though, that the fashionista's face would be hidden, considering we're saying Mukuro Ikisaba. His face, that doesn't really mean anything. But what we can see is that the fashionista is wearing a black and white tie, and she is being more fashionable. To the right, just in the back, we have Kyoko, and in front we have Chihiro, who's as a male still cross-dressing. Then you have Choko and Byakuya and Aoi. So this is all 16 students. Is there anything special to take from this? There's nothing written on the board. No. So yeah, this is just more evidence as far as the photos that we have seen before. Everybody's happy and together as a group. They actually do seem like they're friends. But yeah, the only thing I could think that's intentionally being hidden here is you would not, as an animator, you would have known the poses that you were going to do here, and you would not have accidentally hidden the fashionista's face. So I kind of wonder if Junko is not Junko, and somebody showed up dressed somewhat like Junko and replaced her, and the body maybe that was blown up was the original Junko, and she was murdered even before everything started. We're not seeing any new students by any means. 17 students for a classroom for a Japanese school makes a lot of sense. There is some inconsistency on the skirt colors, but with the fashionista kind of having a darker skirt and Chihiro having a darker skirt instead of it all being brown. Like, if this was a real Japanese school, everybody's hair would be black, and you wouldn't have even the fiery red-haired Leon would be forced to dye his hair black. I mentioned that. And even Byakuya's blonde hair and Chihiro's blonde hair would have been forced to be dyed black. Like 98% of all Japanese people have black hair. And they want that kind of insane uniformity. And that would have been an issue certainly with these costumes in particular. So, like, even the red tie that Taka is wearing does not seem to really conform. Well, maybe Byakuya is wearing a red tie too. His neck is being hidden by Aoi's crazy hair. But then, yeah, the fact that Leon and Mondo aren't wearing ties would be a problem, and Hifumi wearing a different kind of tie would be a problem. There's an arrow just pointing directly at Hifumi as if he was the mastermind, which that'd be fairly insane. And yeah, I don't know what they would do with Sakura. But yeah, a lot to see there. If anything, this probably should have been the first photo, but then you couldn't have had Mukuro Ikasaba as part of it. But what you could have done, just to save yourself some animation, is draw this photo in such a way that the people who died first were all on the right, and then tear the photo into 3 pieces. And in the middle, that's when you would see Mukuro Ikasaba added to the group, and that the entire photo itself is connected. And then you would potentially do it at an angle, or so that the background is not connected, so it would really look like the photos aren't the same, and that you just have a fragment of one photo and you think you have a fragment of a different photo, and then when you get the middle part, they actually fit together like a puzzle piece. That would have saved them animating the 2 previous images. Not that I'm complaining that they did animate those 2 images, it's just they never flashed back to it or used it much. It was a bunch of faces I recognized extremely well. It was everyone who'd come to Hope's Peak at the same time as me. Wait, but there's someone behind Sayaka, and she's the only one I don't recognize. Wait, that's not true. I do recognize her. That's right. When Byakuya and I were in the Headmaster's room and we looked at the file, Mukuro Ikasaba. Then this girl is. What? Why? Why is Mukuro here with everyone else? And even more than that, just having everyone here pose like this is weird enough by itself. And we're all wearing matching uniforms. I don't remember anything like this. And now that I'm looking at it, it's not even everyone. I'm not in the picture. Oh, yeah, Makoto's missing here. We need to count the people then, because that was something I just missed. Well, that might certainly explain something if Makoto is the mastermind and doesn't even remember it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ah, Makoto is not in the picture. I totally missed that. Which also probably highlights that if something else is missing, I would have missed that. We don't see any evidence of Monokuma or anything. I'm the only one not there. The picture has all 15 other students, but not me. But I guess that makes sense. After all, I don't remember ever taking a picture like this. I went to junior high with Sayaka, but the first time I met everyone else was when I arrived here at Hope's Peak Academy. Wouldn't it be funny if Makoto turned out to be Mukuro, and he's just had like some strange body swap? So it's naturally for me to not be in the picture, but what's definitely unnatural is that everyone else is in the picture. The only other way this goes is that everybody was in on the killing game except for Makoto. It's like all these ultimate students are the ultimate despair, and they've just been toying around with Makoto this whole time. I thought everyone was like me and didn't know each other until they got here. But if this picture is real, then could it be everyone else and just me? Everyone here except me is. Phew, how are you gonna keep this rambling soliloquy of yours, Hamlet?
What are you gonna do?
That's kind of a high-minded reference. You're kind of getting in the way standing there, you know? So I mean, get out. But I told you I'm not fielding any questions. What kind of mystery would this be if I gave you all the answers? That'd totally be out of left field. And now he's typing in gibberish again. I wonder if the gibberish might be because Mukuro Ikasaba's hand is broken. So she can't type with one hand. Or whoever's controlling Monokuma's hand is broken. I don't know why Monokuma is giving us this information anyways. I mean, it seems like he's doing it to sow division and mistrust amongst the group, certainly, but the big reveal there probably wouldn't want to be revealed. Monokuma probably wouldn't want to let you realize what's really going on. Although maybe he does, because I'm not 100% sure that Monokuma and the Mastermind isn't doing this for a different reason other than just creating despair. I guess that means he's done talking, damn it. Group photo is added to the truth bullets section of your handbook. So do we have any more truth bullets? We'll look at doing the prep. So in the end, all I found in the gym was even more confusion. And with that confusion in hand, I left the gym dejected. How does that count as a hint? It just made me even more confused. Is that what Monokuma was going for? Did he put together a fake photo just to confuse me? But it looks so real, so full of life. How can anyone fake that? Which means everyone but me, ... Maybe I should just ask everyone directly. That should clear all this up. No, I have to clear all this up. So... seemingly, we have 14 truth bullets. And... either we're gonna have to run around a lot of places, or we're just gonna go to the dining hall. Before we go to the dining hall, we also have an archive area to go to, and we have a biolab to go to, and the garden to go to. But people are just all over the place. Alright, well, I want to check this first. Let's fast travel here. And then... because I don't know if we searched everything in the area. Oh, so she is still in that room. Alright, good. Well, then that tells me something. So she'll be the last one we talk to. And we have probably the last of the Monokuma tokens that we're gonna find, unless we go to another chapter and it gives us a handful of them. So we would have to get really, really lucky here. We've got 17 shots to get about 3 items. And no way to speed this whole thing up. Hitting B doesn't do anything. This very possibly is the last time we'll ever do this. We definitely aren't likely to actually need all these presents. But the math still feels very broken. It just does not make any sense. I have enough presents here for 2 or 3 playthroughs of this game. Which, that just seems ridiculous. 10 more tries. Odds are extremely low. Like if you have a 95% repeat chance, then that means opening 100 of them, I would get 95 duplicates and 4 and some change of new coins. But then the repeat chance goes up each time, so I think that actually compounds the issue. That's new, and that jumped to 97. definitely feels like there should have been a point where you could have traded duplicate presents back for Monokuma tokens. And honestly, it doesn't feel like there's a point where you would have had 999 Monokuma tokens. Even if you'd sat on them and just never used them. Not in one playthrough. Notice how it also very often gives you lucky when you run out of coins. Alright, well I got one new item. Alright, well. We might as well go through this in order. So we'll start with Aoi. I suppose we still should see if we can go into other people's rooms or our own room. Nope. So we've been very thorough here, probably too thorough. Had I ignored the Monokuma tokens in the store and the presents elements, or mostly ignored them, I probably would have saved several hours in time. So we're just gonna ask directly. So this is where you've been hiding. Listen, I was hoping to talk to you. Makoto. ... Sorry, gotta go. What? She ran off so fast. I didn't even have time to ask her to stop. Hina, why? Why won't you talk to me? So they're all just gonna run? I feel like Monokuma definitely gave a different photo to different people. I mean, am I really gonna trigger something if I go in the dining hall again? Did she drop something and I just didn't see it? Alright, well, I feel like we're fairly obviously going to trigger the same reaction multiple times here. We weren't allowed to go into the secret room again. Feels like there should be at least 2 or 3 other secret rooms. It'd be funny if Byakuya runs. That's gonna be weird. Oh, Byakuya. ... Listen, do you think we can talk? ... Byakuya.
That's enough.
I have nothing to talk to you about. Don't talk to me as if we're friends. Hey, Byakuya, wait. Well, of course he didn't. He just walked away. What the? Why was he acting like that? Like was he purposely trying to avoid me? Maybe the photos jogged the memories of all the other students. There's a lot of maybes here, certainly. It could very well be a case that the Makoto actually is the headmaster's clone or something. Let's go in here. If they're all going to avoid him and not talk to him, then certainly there's a case here also with them voting him as the Black End regardless, as being the mastermind. I decided to visit the biolab one more time. The first thing I saw when I got there was her passed out again. Toko. Alright, well, at least in this case, Toko seems to have opened up a body and it's open, but Toko. We have to click on Toko again. Very linear now. Wasn't this bad? Toko, are you okay? No. She's not dead, is she? So Genocide Jill maybe didn't see the photo, so maybe Genocide Jill will actually talk to you. Although, frankly, if Makoto and Genocide Jill have to work together, then Makoto's in trouble. It's cold. It's super cold. It's so cold. I think I might catch cold. if you keep taking naps in places like this, I'm sure you will.
I see.
What? I was asleep? Ah, I must have fainted again. I bet you were standing there staring at me, getting all excited, weren't you? No, I wasn't.
Have you
Oh,
reached
then
a
what?
certain age?
Still a very weird line of dialogue to have voiced. Oh, then what? Hot and bothered? Straight up horny? Okay, so why did you pass out? I don't know, last thing I remember was me waking up just now. Does she not remember what she did previously? I would assume she does. What'd you do to Miss Morose? Oh, that's right. Your memory stops and starts each time you switch. Bingo, bazinga. We share some basic knowledge, but our memories are very much separate. Bazinga is a terrible phrase, made-up phrase that I don't want to see in the lexicon. And the good news is people never really have adopted it or remembered it much. There is one thing about Toko's suit in that on the shoulder it looks like there is a brand that looks maybe like a Hope's Peak logo, but maybe not. There's also one on Makoto's jacket, which doesn't make sense either way. And don't say it's like it's a bad thing. It's a blessing as far as I'm concerned. Because even if she forgets something, I totally remember. So I'm like double the memory. No, it's more like half. So that's been added to the true section, weirdly. And a lot of times they don't draw that symbol, so maybe that's just was a mistake in the drawing itself. But all I want to know right now is, where's my little darling? Tell me or I'll slit your throat. I don't know, I'm sure Byaku's around here somewhere doing his own investigation. See the logo there on the side of her shoulder? It's just sometimes drawn, sometimes not. By himself? I assume so. I knew it. I totally knew it. I'm a total pro when it comes to all things master. Anyway, I gotta hurry. I can't even imagine how lonely he must be right now. Yeah. So she's her usual useless self. See, now this is weird because if no one else has memories of them being in the school together, maybe Toko would have memories still. Assuming, however, they erased the memories of people didn't take effect both on Toko and Genocide Jill. Toko shut off her hearing laughter. He's calling her Toko now, which is kind of weird, but I guess fine. Her eerie laughter echoing behind her. I totally forgot to ask her about the picture. Oh well, there's no point in asking Genocide Jack anyways. Yeah, and very inconsistent as to whether they were going to call it Genocide Jill or Genocide Jack. Besides, they have more important things to do right now. Why did Toko faint? There's got to be some reason for it. Alright, well, clearly it's the body. The fridge is open, but I'm sure they were all shut tight last time I was here. This must be why she passed out. Why is this question mark, question mark, question mark? This has to be either Makoto saying it or Kyoko.
Right.
She faints so easily. Kyoko,
Makoto.
it's getting late, isn't it? Are you okay?
Indeed.
I'm sorry if I made you worry. No, you don't have to apologize.
Listen.
But listen, about this room. Oh yeah,
It would seem.
it's a morgue. And here we hear Kyoko's lines of dialogue. Also being very poorly used and poorly picked out. Yeah,
I knew it.
I suspected as much. And Toko must have looked inside the fridge, seen what was in there, and well, there you have it. You knew she'd fainted?
Indeed.
I was on my way here when Genocide Jack came running past me. I assumed she must have sneezed, but once I got inside it, the real reason became clear. I imagined she came here to investigate, and when she opened the slot there, that's when she saw the body inside and dropped like a bag of rocks. Now there's a good chance that the body we see isn't going to be the Fashionista's body or Mukuro Ikusaba's body. I wouldn't be surprised if it is one of the other people's bodies. Why everything's gotta be so difficult with her. Anyway, we should close it up. Don't want to leave it hanging open like that. Yeah, good idea.
Makoto.
Give me a hand with this. Kyoko approached the fridge, hands outstretched, but suddenly she stopped. What's wrong?
Listen.
Maybe we should wait a second before closing it. Huh? How come? Because Mukuro's body is in here. Gotta react. I feel like the game would also be just horrible if you didn't react to everything. Like, why? Like, maybe that would save you a few conversations, but it still feels like the game would be close to 30 to 50 hours of content. You'd have to put everything in just auto mode at a certain point, and that seems to be the only reason why the react mode is the Y button, is because the auto mode just must put everything, press the A button automatically for you. And frankly, it all needs to be in the skip mode, which, let's see. Yeah. B cancels and skips text. A advances text. Right bump goes in auto mode. Mukuro's corpse. Mukuro's body is inside the fridge.
See.
Just like every other time, the mastermind probably brought it up here while we were in the class trial. The mastermind did it? How could the mastermind be paying attention to the class trial? Maybe he isn't. And move the body at the same time. Because they assumed we wouldn't be doing the class trial over again, I guess.
So.
You may be right. Either way, now I can finally get a good look at the body. Oh, that's right. Kyoko didn't get a chance to check the body during the last investigation. This is also going to be the point where Kyoko could have easily proven it wasn't Mukuro Ikisaba in the last investigation had she looked at the body.
Makoto.
Need to do my own examination of the corpse as soon as possible. I'm going to find a clue this time. I'm going to grab the mastermind by the tail. Okay, what should I do?
So then.
Why don't you just wait over there? I'll let you know as soon as I'm finished. Just wait over there. That's it. Seems to me like. So we get a different point there, and we've updated the truth bullet. So we might as well just click on everything else while we're here. It is still fairly ridiculous that Makoto is just not willing to investigate the body, or at least won't look over her shoulder while she's investigating to make sure she's not the mastermind, which there's a good chance that she is the mastermind. 9 lights. So we update that. Let's just look at the body ourselves. Can't do it, I can't look inside. I should ask Kyoko about the group photo. After all, she's in it too. Don't let me interrupt your investigation, but I wanted to talk to you about something. ... What is it? It's about the announcement Monokuma made earlier. You mean the one about a hint or something? I didn't take him up on the offer. Huh? Why not?
Because.
The only reason he'd give us a hint at this point was to confuse us, to cloud our judgment. I can solve this mystery on my own without whatever hint he has to offer. That's a good point. I wish I could go back and do the same thing, but what's done is done, I guess. Standing here looking at her, I don't think she's hiding anything from me. Is she right? Did the mastermind forge the picture to trap and confuse us? That's gotta be it. There's no other explanation. Oh, Makoto, I'm done. Already? Geez, that was fast. Anyways, can you do... Anyone can do work if they go slow. In that spirit, I'd like to make my report brief. So did you find anything?
Indeed.
I paid careful attention to the wounds and traces of blood, and it seems highly likely that the stomach wound and blow to the back of the head were inflicted after death. Interesting. Really? The burnt tissue made things a little difficult, but I'm completely confident in my findings. So that means neither of them were the fatal injury, right? Then what was the fatal injury? Due to the explosion, the victim's identity is unknown. They were, however, dead before the blast. The victim was stabbed a single time with a knife, which went completely through the body. They've also been struck in the head with an object about as thick as a metal pipe. The body was covered with other wounds, but these were at least several days old. The only other option is those other wounds, but the files say they were old.
Is that right?
Where does it say they're old? Huh?
Because
All the Monokuma file says that they were inflicted at least several days ago. I guess I don't see the difference.
wrong.
Well, the difference is immense considering the impression they give.
Listen.
You seem to be equating several days old with simply old,
However,
but that doesn't quite follow logically. Old wounds make it sound like they've been there forever, like they're not related to the murder. Are you saying they are? But we all got the Monokuma file right after she was killed, right? If the wounds were at least a few days old, there's no way that they could have had anything to do with it.
so then,
But what if Morocco herself wasn't killed within the last few days? What?
at the very least,
Certainly you can allow it as one of the many possibilities, can't you? One of the many.
right.
A detective doesn't have supernatural powers. There's no way to predict the answers from the beginning. Instead, the ideal detective begins by imagining as many possible scenarios as they can.
In other words,
They envision these possibilities without prejudice, without bias, and using only their logic and common sense. Then as they investigate, they test what they find against each of these possibilities. Of course, me telling you this doesn't mean you'll be any good at detective work. But beyond using that to solve this particular mystery, you should keep it in mind for the future. So we now have Kyoko's account. So if there's anything else you'd like to know about the condition of the body, now's the time. Gotta react. Come to think of it, there is one thing. There is one thing that occurs to me too. Like, is Mukuro Ikasaba's e-handbook in the mailbox in the mailroom on the first floor? Because if it isn't, then she's probably still alive. We know that the Fashionista's handbook went to the mailbox as soon as she was dead. So, yeah. Come to think of it, there was one thing. Earlier when I looked at Mukuro's profile, it listed her height and weight.
so
5 foot 7 inches, 97 pounds. Vitals, again mistranslated here, were 31, 22, 32. Did I get all that right? Remembered all that? They're indeed consistent with the corpse. So then,
indeed,
and don't forget the Finrir tattoo. That's absolutely no mistake.
indeed.
Our victim in this case is, without a doubt, Mukuro Ikasaba, who maybe is an identical twin to the Fashionista? I don't know. Or the Fashionista was inferior too? The tattoo is really still throwing me for a loop. I don't know how you would have gotten a tattoo on the hand. Been updated in the truth bullets. We're getting updates instead of new truth bullets, which is kind of nice because we don't want to end up with a ridiculous amount of truth bullets. Is that all you wanted to ask? Yeah, I think so.
So then,
It looks like we have no further business with Mukuro's body. Let's get going. It's kind of chilly in here. Oh wait, are we not going to put the body back? Don't you think it's kind of sad leaving it out like this? Sad? Did you forget? She was our enemy once. She a part of the ultimate despair. But she still got killed. She's a victim.
hey,
Have you ever heard the phrase, you reap what you sow? Well, yeah, but... You really are naive, you know that? It's really quite appalling. But she could have abandoned me, but she decided to help me instead. So for some reason like that, what does it mean to be naive?
so then,
I think we're done. We've done all we can do here. Back to our separate investigation, yes? Ah, hold on. I still have one more thing to do. Something I need to talk to Kyoko about. Need to ask her about the pocketbook I found in the locker. And clearly, there must have been a way in which you could have missed that content if I don't do it now. So, like, what I'd like to do after this scene, and we probably will still be safe enough to do that is jump all the way down to the mailroom. Then we'll check the dojo out. Then we'll check the garden out. Hey, Kyoko. I did have one last thing. I know I shouldn't, but I feel like I have to ask.
What?
Go ahead, then out with it. Have you really not seen your dad even once since you got here?
What?
What?
So,
What do you mean? Well, you know, all those lockers on the second floor of the dorms.
Indeed.
I do, yes. But to get into any of the lockers, you need the handbook of whoever the locker belongs to. Actually, I managed to get them open using the emergency handbook.
I see.
The one you found in the headmaster's hidden room.
And?
So did you find anything worthwhile in the lockers? I found a pocketbook, and after looking through it, I think it must have been your pocketbook.
Why is that?
What makes you say that?
Because...
Like I said, only the locker's owner should be able to get into it, right? I can't imagine those lockers belong to any of us. After all, we only got access to that area just recently. What I'm saying is there's no way I could have had access to any of those lockers. And if I did have a pocketbook, why would I bother putting it in a locker? Everything you said just makes perfect sense, but there's something written inside. It's about the headmaster, your father. The only thing here we could have is a reveal that she has a sister or a brother, which, I mean, that would work too, because we really failed to ask that question.
What?
Yeah, what as a key phrase to use in voice probably should have been used by each character. Yeah, who, what, where, why, and when could have been easy phrases to have each character read and use in multiple places.
If that's true...
Could that mean the video is real too? Video? Interesting. So maybe the DVDs showed her something earlier, or maybe there was a video that Monokuma showed her instead of a photo. Video? Makoto, I think everything is finally starting to fit together to reveal a cohesive picture. Although I'm afraid that picture might be worse than anything we could have imagined. What are you talking about? I need to go investigate those lockers right now. I need to confirm what you said with my just with my own two eyes. Okay, let me give you the Headmaster's handbook. That way you can. That won't be necessary. If I'm right about it, I shouldn't have any problem opening lockers with my own handbook. After all, it would seem that it's my locker, your locker.
Makoto.
If you watch this, it'll make sense. The DVD, it says Class 78 Urgent Interviews.
So,
I found it in that hidden room after you left.
anyway,
I don't have time to explain exactly what I think it means, so just watch it for yourself and see for yourself. I think you'll realize exactly what it means. You understand why you found my pocketbook in the place none of us could have ever seen before. None of this makes sense right now, but I guess that means there's an important clue on this DVD. Interview DVD has been added to the Truth Bullets section.
Makoto.
Oh, and now it's my turn. Do you have a second to listen to me ramble? Ramble?
In other words,
So as it turns out, the arrangements I made didn't stick. What I mean is, I'm less and less sure of everything, even my own feelings. You're talking about your dad, right? I can never find the answers to the questions I wanted to ask for the rest of my life. And all because of the mastermind.
however,
But there's one thing I'm sure of. When it comes to the mastermind, there's no room in my heart for forgiveness. I swore to destroy the mastermind. This is just one more reason to follow through with that. Kyoko's eyes burned with a fire of determination. So yeah, if Kyoko is the mastermind, she's doing a good job of covering up that fact. And the determination to defeat the mastermind. It's strange to be confronted with his death and suddenly feel this way. I couldn't care less if my father had found happiness.
why?
So why is it? Why does it bother me so much to know he suffered? It's ridiculous. There's just no understanding it, I guess. She let out a small laugh as she said it. That does highlight a thing. There really isn't a lot of normal laughter or even chuckles in this game. It's always psychotic laughter from either Genocide Jack or Monokuma. But her smile was filled with sorrow. So that's it for my rambling. There's still much to do before I consider my task complete. Yeah, you're right.
Hey,
But keep this in mind. There's only ever one absolute truth. Whatever truth serves justice or suffering. Whether it's the greatest truth or the worst. What do you mean?
Makoto.
Even if the truth you uncover is filled with hopelessness, you still can't give up on hope. Absolutely not, because all I can do is keep moving forward. That's pretty much all I'm good at, you know? Indeed. Sorry if that was strange.
So then,
Anyway, I need to get going. I'll see you at the class trial. Leaving behind that final farewell, Kyoko was gone. Better get going myself. I got the DVD for Kyoko. I should head to the AV room to check it out. Kyoko said something about hopeless truth. But no matter what happens, I won't lose hope. Even if it's the worst truth in the world, I can't afford to lose hope. Okay. So, I think what we're going to find is we're going to exit this room, and it might force us down the path. No, it didn't. Okay, well then that puts us in a good position to potentially come out in the dojo and see if we see anything new. Yeah, there's nothing new here, so I think we'll check this out, and it probably is just Byakuya who's going to run away from us. And then I want to check the mail room, and then I want to check the headmaster's room. Let's just try talking to this guy. Hey, Hero. Makoto. What's going on with you? Every time I see you, you freak out like that. No. Sorry, I'm in a big hurry. Once again, he ran off like a terrified rabbit. I still wasn't able to talk to him about the notebook I found. It was like he was avoiding me, like he was afraid of me. Why? Alright, well. Interesting, it just threw me in and out of that room. Alright, well. So then, now let's see if we get to the dormitory, second floor. If we can go into this room and investigate. Heck, we might even check the locker room. Like anywhere it's throwing me out of a room, then there's a decent chance that I missed something. Although, questionable what? I think I searched everything. If anything, if this picture might have acted better if there was a writing on the back of it, or even on the front of it, that says, I love my only child, heart, something like that. That way we could eliminate any possibility of other siblings. I mean, the headmaster could have adopted somebody too. Alright, so we searched that. If you have a DVD and a computer, there's a decent chance the computer would have a DVD player. But I assume they're not gonna just let you watch the DVD there. They want you to go to the AV room. This Eye of Ra still seems like it doesn't make any sense. And then the blood, I assume that's blood drawing the giraffe coming out of the elephant. So we can't go there. Which then, Hope's Peak, first floor. I want to go in here. And let's see. Handbooks of all the students who have died or have been placed in here. They're all dead because of the mastermind. That's all it says. He doesn't actually search to see if Mukuro Ikisaba has a handbook, which if we turned them all on, we would know that immediately. And here we have the same, like, trophies. They use the animations of the trophies fairly repetitively in kind of a good way. That is wise of them to not animate a trophy once in one trophy case. Is there anything else to do? Not really. So let's move the story forward. And I think we had already searched everything else here. So do I want to tease or do I want to reveal? We're at 2 hours on the dot. We've been going over 2 hours, so let's reveal. Let's watch this DVD. This should be able to play DVDs just fine. Well then, I better take a look. I took the DVD Kyoko gave me and put it in the player. Of course, this could actually have been the DVD that was given to her much earlier. It said it was playing, but nothing appeared on the screen. I stared into the black of the monitor. Interesting, this might be a case where Makoto has just a mental block and he can't see the footage. It must have only been a few seconds, but to me it felt like an eternity. And then all of a sudden, an image appeared. What's funny is it has like this kind of grainy film to it, which you really wouldn't have in a digital recording of anything, like, unless this was the case where he used a camcorder that recorded in a non-digital format, like a beta camera or a VHS camera, and then played it back from that camera into like a DVD conversion software or something like that. For a brief time they made camcorders that would record directly to burnable DVDs, but that didn't last very long because of the spinning media problem there. And now there's just many variants of digital videotape that is pretty standard, even though there's many standards there. Using tape and digital signal on the tape seems to be a fairly standard way of doing things, except for really expensive equipment that then has like hard drives and flash memory in it. Also, it has become a point where owning a camcorder that's a separate device and huge that would go on your shoulder is not necessary, since you can get decent video recording out of a cell phone nowadays. Sayaka took me by surprise. I hadn't seen Sayaka in who knows how long, and there she was. So I wonder if these are going to be exit interviews of Sayaka after she was killed, in the sense that maybe this is all faked and being done for TV, and maybe Makoto is just crazy and doesn't realize that it's being done for TV and it's being faked. What we can take from this is Sayaka is in her outfit from before. She's not in a Hope's Peak uniform like in the photo.
Okay then, are you ready to begin?
Is this just going to be all voiced? I assume this is the Headmaster, but it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, it could just be that the hair color of the back of his head is slightly different. But who knows? Voice I heard was the man positioned on one side of the screen. It was the voice of a middle-aged man. There's kind of no point in shooting the back of his head. They should have just zoomed the camera in and looked at Sayaka.
I do apologize, but I hope you don't mind if I record our conversation.
And this definitely feels like this is in the Headmaster's office.
I'm a little slow,
It might be that this is just a police officer investigating her.
I never really got the hang of taking notes while having a conversation.
So this might just be a case that the headmaster is trying to be a detective and is just bad at it. Sounded like he was trying to make a joke, but Sayaka's tense face didn't move a single millimeter.
So this video is meant to serve as a kind of contract substitute.
Okay.
It's not that I don't trust you guys. It's more like insurance. So please don't worry too much.
So it almost feels like the students themselves decide to make the killing game. I don't know why, though, if they're not evil.
Now then, let me get straight to the point.
It might be a case that each of these students aren't actually human at all, and that there's some kind of genetically engineered beings that don't have emotions or don't think like normal humans, or that they're AI robots. But you would think if they were robots, you would have seen some evidence of that.
There is a chance that you may have to spend the rest of your life here in the school.
Okay.
Can you accept that?
Interesting that her voice is not voiced. Almost like they lost a voice actress and couldn't bring her back to say, "You want me to accept that?" Sayaka was obviously at a total loss. It made total sense. Who would agree to spend the rest of their life in this school? And then we just get we don't get accept. What?
Thank you. And I'm sorry about all this. Well, I can promise you that I will do everything in my power to keep you safe.
Interesting.
As the headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy, I give you my word.
So he does say he's the headmaster. That is a very, very useless video. So, like, what was the point of recording that? Cut out as I found Q, ... There was a lot I hadn't understood up until now. But only this. I simply couldn't comprehend what I'd heard. Because I know how much Sayaka wanted to get out of here. I know how much she wanted to escape and pursue her dreams with her friends again. She wanted that so bad, she tried to frame me for murder. So why? Why would she say yes to living here for the rest of her life? As I sat there thinking about it, I noticed a sudden light. On the monitor, the video that I thought had finished flashed back on screen. My eyes darted back to the screen. And if I was confused before, what I saw next pushed me right over the edge. It's him, it's Makoto, and yeah, you can see the logo on his lapel. Huh? What I saw was me. Impossible, undeniably me.
So, Makoto, before we begin, I should let you know that I'll be recording our conversation.
They barely have a conversation here.
Yes.
Wow, Makoto sounds evil. Me and the headmaster were looking at each other. He and I were having what seemed like a fairly normal conversation. But the I in the here and now, have absolutely no memory of it. I have no memory of ever meeting the headmaster, much less sitting down and talking to him like this.
Now, shall we get straight to the point? Makoto, there's a chance you may have to spend the rest of your life here in the school.
Interesting. It almost makes it feel like if there was a bunch of ultimate students that they were able to save and keep at the school, then was Makoto just a passerby or a lucky student that wasn't an ultimate? Or does Makoto have some kind of ultimate ability? Does he have an ultimate mind wiping ability or mind control? That might be it. Maybe Makoto is wiping the minds of everyone else, including himself.
Can you accept that?
Yeah, they're just going to ask the same thing each time. Yes. And Makoto only has that response, yes. This can't be real. I said yes.
I'm sorry I'm putting you through all this.
And they're just going to use the headmaster same lines of dialogue.
We don't have much of a choice, do we?
Yeah, Makoto sounds very different here.
But I promise that as long as you're in this school, I will do everything I can to protect you. As the headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy, that's the very least I can do for you.
Once again, the video cut out. There still is a possibility that Hope's Peak just got turned into kind of a weird prison to keep these dangerous students away from the rest of society. From there, the video repeated the same scene again and again with the others. Good, they're gonna speed up the process. Now, Makoto was in his current outfit. Byakuya is in his normal outfit. They're not in school outfits. Toko. It almost makes it seem like Toko and Makoto, since they have the same logo on their outfits, that they might be connected in some way, like brother and sister or something. Hina. Everyone. They all said they agreed to live in this school forever. And then, what's funny though is if that is the case, if it is the case that all the students agreed to live in the school forever, then why did their memories need to be erased in the first place? Why are they going through these killing games to either kill each other off or be determined to live here forever? Just seems redundant. Kyoko. Her interview with him had been recorded just as clearly. Without a doubt, she had met him. She sat down with the headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy, her father, and when she asked him when he asked her his question, she answered the same as everyone else. She accepted a life within the school. Just as Kyoko's interview was wrapping up, the monitor suddenly went black. Huh? Wasn't just the monitor. The DVD itself had apparently turned off. Interesting. I wonder if Monokuma did that. Which of course meant the DVD wasn't playing anymore. What the heck just happened?
Say what?
Oopsie, looks like it broke. Out of service. What? It just so happened to break just now?
Too bad.
Now then, when? Doesn't matter. Failure can strike anywhere, anytime. That's what failure is, right? Failure, my butt. You cut the power on purpose. Well, whatever. Even if I've watched the whole thing, it'd just be more of the same. He'd ask the question, and they'd all say yes. I couldn't help myself. I let out a huge exasperated sigh, but as soon as I did, I remembered something.
That's right.
What's funny is we don't know if he saw Mukuro Ikisaba ask that question, and clearly there was going to be more conversation or something occurring on that video. Kyoko in the trash dump, which we've forgotten about that. I fainted too, and when I, Asterix, woke up, I noticed a strange feeling, a separation within myself, a disconnect.
It seemed...
Thinking back on it now, at that point my memory was gone. At that time I'd forgotten. I couldn't remember why I'd come to the school, and I couldn't remember what my ultimate ability was. But what would make you forget all that?
Hey,
Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happened by chance. It seems much too convenient. A convenient outcome. Something that seemed to obviously work in favor of the mastermind. So does that mean I've lost my memory too? What about the others? Have we all forgotten? Or... ... New truth bullet. Ding dong bing bong. I think with that, there's probably no better point to end this recording. There's a couple things certainly here we could mention. We have 17 truth bullets, which seems like a right amount, but we definitely don't have all the skills. As far as collections, we're trying to see if we have 9 copies of anything or more. We're still looking for 1, maybe 2 items. So, yeah. I don't even know what to really say at this point. says, jump into this and you feel like you can support the world. It resembles some kind of Yeti creature. Yeah, we have one here. But then we have a ton of things here that don't make sense. And I'm not sure if there's even a single other item that we don't have. I wasn't paying enough attention. If it turns out everybody... Yeah, there's 2 items we're missing. If it turns out everybody forgot, we're I mean, that just tells the story, I guess. Yeah. I guess my clones concept is probably wrong. We're going to have 2 things that happen in the next recording. We're going to start the class trial almost certainly and have to prove who's dead and how. And then we're going to have to prove all the other mysteries of the school, which that in itself may be its own chapter. We haven't gotten any new regulations. They kind of obviously did not expect us to overwrite and save as much as I had, so they only gave us 30 save spots. Yeah, I definitely suspect we've got at least another 2 hours and 2.5 hours minimum of gameplay of this, but we've got to be getting somewhat close to the end. It feels like we should be, but who knows? Like, there could be a whole second act where it is just about escaping or living your life, or maybe a forever mode that just goes on forever and you can just hang out with people and give them gifts forever. Particularly if that brought everybody back. That might be the replacement for something like a New Game Plus. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.